And we're live. What's going on, everybody? This is Dylan,
I'm Leslie.
and this is Dylan Talks Tone. This is our live weekly Q&A, and I'm really excited because we have a special guest this week. Matt and Chris from Texas Toast Guitars are going to be on with us, and we're going to talk about some pretty fun stuff. All right, so a couple things. We're going to just take care of a couple things before we bring on Matt and Chris from Texas Toast. I can see them down here in the little corner, so we know they're there. Two things I want to show you before I bring them on. Just a couple housekeeping things. One is we got, where did it go? We got a couple of new pieces of merch on the website at Dylan Talks Tone. I'm really up in my merch game, y'all. So putting some time into designing some stuff. We have the new vintage T-shirt with an old motorcycle ad. That's actually a tattoo that's on my leg. Also, that's why I really like that thing. And then the new vintage, it's like a vintage sunset T-shirt. So those are both on the website right now. And then a couple other things real quick. I'm going to NAMM, so I will be there for the whole thing. And I'm actually going to be in Nashville that entire week. So if you are going to be around, if you want to hang out, or if there's something that you want to see on the channel, because we're going to be shooting a bunch of content. So please let me know in the weeks coming up, you know, as you see things starting to be announced. I know it's going to be a little smaller and stuff, but I think it's going to be cool because it's going to be a little smaller. So yeah, I think that's pretty sweet. And then what else? A couple other things here. Oh yeah, new video tomorrow. We put acoustic strings on an electric guitar, which was really fun, and it was a Strat too, so that was a little additional challenge. So just FYI, that video comes out tomorrow afternoon, so I think you will dig it. So I tell you what, let's get Matt and Chris on here. And
Prestige worldwide.
Dude, it works.
Check it out.
There we go.
Hey guys.
What's happening?
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
Leslie. Hey, Dylan. What's going on?
Not too much.
What are you drinking?
There's like some delay, and I can hear it's like it has to go to space, and then it comes down, and then yeah.
But you're still out even through
Tequila.
their thing.
So are you?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, can you hear
Tequila?
yourself?
Just straight tequila? No ice and
With a
nothing?
little ice, little peach flavor.
There you go.
Yep.
I like to drink
And then-
the finest house tequila on the rocks.
Yeah.
Bottom
And I've got
tequila.
some Tennessee whiskey that we
Ooh.
bought at a local distillery.
Lovely.
So Matt and Chris, the format of the Dylan Talks Tone Q&A show, you are going to just basically get sucked into it.
Okay.
And then, so we're gonna go through our Q&A thing, because there's actually some people who asked on my Patreon. So what we do is we prioritize people who are on Patreon and who are YouTube members, you know, the little join button thing. And so they ask some questions on a post that I make, and some of them wanted to ask you some questions too. So we'll try to be as, you know, we'll just go through these, and then after that we're going to talk about the GGBO thing and what's happened with that.
Okay.
Because I have an update for that you may not know, maybe you already do know, I'm not sure.
Okay.
And then after that, kind of our title subject is what is wrong. I just went through all the Fender Stratocasters and Telecaster models in a couple of videos, and I want to talk about some things and get your input. Fender's really screwing up, and I want to tell you why I think that way, and then we can talk about that. And
Let's
maybe
talk.
get some-
So as long as we can talk about how Fender is not screwing up every time they copy something that we did 2 months ago.
Well, that's going to be part of it.
Oh,
So-
cool.
Yeah, that's going to be part of it. So we'll get to that. So
I love. First of all, I am positively convinced that somebody or a couple people at Fender have watched some of the things that we do, and I've been copying Fender for years. So if they're copying anything that I've ever done, that's full circle for me.
I agree. I agree. And then Leslie's also going to be looking at the comments and probably picking out comments for later when we have some time for some questions, and also any super chats that come in there, because we are a little busier this week because we have a guest. So
yeah, are we going to is this like a speed round or what?
kind of. It's
Okay.
going to be kind of.
Okay.
So we're going to pop some questions up here because you haven't used
play.
probably StreamYard in
I'm going
this
to pass.
way.
Okay.
Okay, you want to pass. So the
We're
first
gonna
one
play,
is
Chuck.
this is for you guys and for me too, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. Robert from Patreon wants to know, is there one recent innovation in guitar design that you think will become common in the next 3 to 4 years?
How do you want to go?
Go ahead.
No.
You go first.
No, there isn't. And the reason that but there's no recent innovation because guitar players don't want anything new. So unless something that they did in the 50s is like recently making a comeback, then no.
Agreed.
I'm going to agree too.
And my only difference to that would be, I think there's going to be more innovation in the amp side of guitar playing than in the
I think
guitar
so
side
too.
of guitar
Yeah,
playing.
yeah. I think so too. That all that modeling and that stuff's really starting to get good.
And
So,
lighter weight is
lighter weight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's face it,
So-
guitar players are getting long in the tooth.
Many
As
of
a-
them are.
As a group of people, we are all getting older. So SAWC is definitely a thing with the older crowd. Size and weight constraints, in case I'm.
Yes, and kids coming up aren't going to mind interfacing with an iPad or interfacing with a whatever to play music. They're going to be
Yeah.
cool with that, you know.
Yeah, but I still think that they're going to want some of those classic looking instruments just because of just because they look cool.
And I think the people who buy guitars are, like I said, they're generally speaking older, and the kids are moved out. They got a little bit of discretionary income, so now it's time to get the guitar you always wanted when you were 18. Get the guitar you had when you were a young kid. And so people are just going to want more of the same stuff that has been going on for the last 75 years. So is there any new innovation? No.
I think orange guitars will be a thing.
Weren't you saying that every time a color made an appearance, that was like the
Yeah,
death
as soon
knell for
as and it was really neon. When the only thing you have to offer is neon,
yeah.
you're in trouble. And that happened with bicycles. It happened with rock and roll. As soon as bands started dressing in all fluorescent, then you knew it was close to the end.
Mhm.
Yeah, cars.
It's funny you say that, because I was about to say that people older than us, older than the age group that you and I and Chris are in.
Older than
Matt.
Chris?
Older than Chris.
Okay.
Yes, if they want the guitars they had when they were a kid, they were so they're wanting like these old Les Pauls and old Tellys and stuff. But there's gonna be a generation who is gonna be like, you know what? When I was a kid, I wanted a Kramer Beretta in yellow.
Mm-hmm. That's already starting.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
It is.
there was a
Yeah.
time when you couldn't give a Super Strat away, no matter who made it. And now, all that stuff's starting to come up in price. And someday somebody will say, you know what I really want? A first act Volkswagen edition guitar.
Because it's my dream guitar.
My dream guitar is a hot pink Dean Cadillac.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mrs. Toast says that vinyl made a comeback.
I want, if we're going down that weird road, I want a Satchel signature
There you go. Yeah.
with the tiger stripe.
Mm-hmm.
Can do.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new
All right.
Johnny Sweetblade signature guitar from Texas Toast?
No, I haven't. And we're going to get into your models later when we
Oh,
talk
okay.
about why I think Fender is screwing up.
All right.
So this is a quick one. Charles, he's a longtime follower of our channel, wants to know.
Charluch, long time listener, first time caller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's got a GNL. It's like a Strat style, and he wants to know what pickups he should put in that. What would be my choice to put in your Strat? I think, Charles, that you should decide not what I want, but what combination of pickups don't you already have, if you're willing to experiment. And we could put a loaded pickguard in there with something cool, maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. But just think about a combination of pickups that you would like, and let me know.
Super chat.
Oh, we got a super chat.
From Doug.
Nope, from Ivan.
Ivan,
says,
I know that guy.
The Ray Ross bass bridge is innovative.
Well, you didn't say what bass innovations, because bass players are really, because bass players are a totally different breed, and they're way more interested in experimenting than guitar players are.
Yeah, they're all
guitar players are like, ooh, the new Malibu Stacy has a hat. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
right. And bass players are into like asymmetrical stuff and weird pickups and preamps and all kinds of stuff that regular guitar players are not into.
Yep.
The only other two innovations I could think of lately, and I'm not saying they're going to catch on, but they are actually pretty good. Like that Fishman Fluent stuff is pretty neat, and that's not a normal pickup. That's pretty cool. The Alumitone stuff, you and I, we've tried that, and it's okay. But it's an idea that's cool, and it's not normal. Maybe it's not there yet, but it is happening. So
but
that's different.
You and I talk about this all the time, Dylan. There are people who say, wow, that would be cool. And the line of people that says, wow, that would be cool is much longer than the line of people that says, shut up and take my money for this wowie zowie cool thing. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's totally true.
And
then go ahead.
At the heart of an electric guitar is the pickups, and we're still playing around with the same basic ideas and constructions of pickups, and shapes are one thing, but pickups are another, and everybody's it's like this cyclical thing. And right now P90s are cool, and you put P90s in all sorts of stuff, but that's not necessarily a new innovation or anything like that. And,
what would be cool? Insert name of Fender here with P90s.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, wouldn't a Duo Sonic with P90s be cool? And this isn't saying that people aren't pushing the boundaries of pickups, but I don't know that anybody's come out with anything other than the stuff that you mentioned that for just standard electric guitars that really is that new and innovative, other than just sort of tweaking existing designs.
Well,
Would
you
you
have some
agree with that, Dylan?
I would totally agree with it. And I was going to add, I'm working on this top secret project that I can't tell anybody about.
I actually know about
that.
Is it pickups that are canted this way?
No.
No. Okay.
And what I was going to say is the preference on this top secret project is older the better.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, people just like that stuff, and you can't get away from it,
Yeah.
Our
I
next
don't think that's
question,
bad. I mean, I think the old stuff's cool.
it sounds great, so it's okay. You know?
Yeah.
Everything that I listened to in high school was recorded with old stuff. So why wouldn't I want to have?
And really, that's in a lot of ways, that's kind of what all of this is it's sort of musical dress up.
Yeah.
Like I want to sound like this guy or that guy, and this is how you're going to make that sound. So, okay.
Yep. Our next question comes from both of our best friends, Doug.
Okay.
This is Doug Santinello. I picked up a 1983 Washburn A5 that has humbuckers with 3 adjustment screws and springs, 2 on the bass side, and I can't find replacement mounting rings. Any thought on where you could get one of these? They're common in the 70s and 80s. That's a Fender thing now.
Well, it is and it isn't.
The wide range used that configuration,
but
right?
but it's quite a bit different than the regular.
The shape of that is different, and I think Guild used that. I've seen that on early Guilds, and maybe even some early Gretsch stuff.
Remember those
But
pickups
they're
that had
all
the ears had 3 screws, so that you could you use a regular standard ring or that 2-in-1 ring.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there were some of the, I think, like Schecter pickups had instead of the tabs for the pickup screws and springs to go had 3 threaded holes instead of on each side instead of just one.
Mm-hmm.
So
you know what I would do is
switch pickups.
I'd re-drill the ring, and then in that middle one I'd put a little jewel.
Bedazzle
a little sparkly jewel in there.
Yes.
And be the coolest kid on the block.
Doug's already the coolest kid on the block. He's got a bunch of Texas Toast guitars.
It's going to be even cooler then.
What I would do
Or
if I
another
was
screw.
Doug is I would bring it to Matt and make him put wood binding on that part right there.
That's a good idea too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do too.
Our next question is for Matt and Chris. This is Ivan again. You probably know Ivan too. This question is more for Matt. I have a highly figured piece of maple that I'd like to use as a one-piece neck with a skunk stripe in the back. Is there a chance that you would do a video on that kind of a neck? You don't
As a
do skunk
matter of
stripes,
fact,
do
there
you?
is a good chance that I could do that. I am right now working with John and Cheryl from Bitterroot Guitars, who are real friends of the shop and industry partners for us. We're going to be doing some videos for John where we demonstrate how to install his truss rods. And so, yeah, I don't see why we couldn't do a one piece for John. And the reason I say that is because John is going to pay us to do them. So, I mean, if someone said, "Hey, will you make a video on how to do this obscure thing?" And I'm like, well, I don't know. But I think that John is going to kind of put the bill for a lot of that stuff. So, yes, there is a chance, and it's actually a good chance that we will be doing a video on that soon. Having said that, if I had a real highly figured piece of maple, I would not use it for the neck. As a rule, I don't like figure on necks because it's not the most stable wood you can get. And the older I get and the more crotchety I get, the more stable I like necks to be. So
I heard this before too, and so you could probably, if you want to expand on this, Matt. So yeah, so like anything that's got a lot of figuring in it, I mean, straight lines in wood is what gives us the strength, right? So when it has all those squiggly lines, it's not as stable, strong.
No, it's not that it's not stable. It's turn down the volume on our radio. We're getting feedback. Sorry, it looks like we're getting some weird feedback. You want to turn the gain down on our microphone, maybe? Yeah, it's not that it's not. The figured wood is not stable. Flame maple is fine. Quilt maple, maybe not. Bird's eye is tricky because you get. Is that any better? To whomever said that we're feeding back. Bird's eye is tricky because you get all these little teeny tiny bird's eyes, and as soon as you start to machine them with any sort of cutting tools, it's easy to chip. And anything that's dry and anything that's figured is very fragile when it comes time to shape it. So, yeah, I, from a stability standpoint, flame maple's fine, but I use it every so often. But if I had like a wicked piece of quilt maple, there's a reason Paul Reed Smith uses quilt maple for tops and not for necks. You know. So to whoever wanted to know if we turn our gain down, we turn the gain down. I can still hear it. So sorry, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I turned my volume down too. Maybe we're feeding back just listening to speakers and microphones or something.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I'm having fun.
Good. Me too. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a question about a weird old Fender. So it sounds kind of like a Chris thing.
Which part? The weird and old?
How do
Or
I
the
fix
Fender
neck dive
part?
on a Meteora?
How to fix neck dive on the Meteora. So the Meteora is that new space age, like what if Fender designed the Telecaster in 2020 kind of guitar. So it's mostly telly, but not. I don't
Jazz
know.
mastery?
Well, so it's kind of big and space agey, but it's basically a Telecaster. And then they paint them up to look like old Telecasters, at least the original ones. I don't know how you fix neck dive on one of those. I haven't actually really checked one of those out. I've seen them in the store hanging up, but I've never picked one up. Thanks for getting me a beer.
Oh crap! Sorry. I was thinking of how I would fix the neck dive. I know how I'd fix it.
Okay.
Same way you'd fix the neck dive on a Thunderbird. Take a long piece of metal that is a tube and put your strap button on this end and a really long screw through it, and there you go. Just you need to extend the strap button towards the headstock. That's actually an old school trick that the guys used on Thunderbird bases many years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Put a bag of washers in the cavity.
Kinda. Yeah. If you got like a piece of 3/8 tube and cut like a 2-inch section of it and extended your strap button. On stage, it still looks like you have this badass Thunderbird, but the strap is 2 inches further out. Yeah.
People will think you have a bee bender.
Yeah.
I've seen guys, and I don't know that the guy that's asking this question is this guy, but I've seen guys complain about neck dive, and then I see them and they've got those crappy nylon straps.
Yeah.
You know, those like super slick straps. It's like you need a better strap, man. Buy a 2.5-inch leather strap.
Yeah.
And it should be okay. Those nylon straps, those are what the guys that used to spin their guitars around would use because they were so slick.
Yeah.
And
and for everything else, they suck.
Yeah, they suck. Unless you want to match your guitar with your strap. But I would try some different straps.
Yep. Get a good strap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is an interesting question. This is from our friend Ed Billy B and Blues.
I know that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. If you invent something for the guitar, how does one go about finding out if it's a good idea or not without getting the idea stolen or before laying out money on a bad idea?
Boy, that's a tricky one, you know? I don't know. Mrs. Toast is writing something down.
I'll just tell you.
She's Mrs. Toast is going to come over to the microphone.
You have 1 year from publicly announcing your idea to file a patent application where no one else can steal it from you.
I will submit to you that most guitar inventions have already been invented.
Yeah. Please see question number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not taking a piss here. That really is a thing. Everyone thinks oh, I've got this new, and I'm not saying that Ed doesn't, but if you go back in time, 75 years, some of these things that are addressing a problem that it's not like guitar players in 2021 are the only people who say, for example, are experiencing neck dive with a specific guitar. So people have come up with these little things about it. So Ed, it is possible that someone has already done something like this. So you might be wildly innovative, but you might be 75 years behind the curve. It is very likely that Paul Bigsby already invented what you have. And I'm not trying to be tacky, but that is absolutely. I don't know what you have. If I'm wrong, then I hope you make $1 million.
And what I would also say is if you have a really good idea, post about it on Facebook, see how many people want to buy it, and then count on 1% of those people actually wanting to buy it.
Up to 1%.
And you have to research prior art already filed with the patent office, which is time consuming, and you'd be surprised at what you might already find.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the bummer part, but yeah.
What's really funny about that too is what Mrs. Toast is saying is people oftentimes will file for stuff that they don't intend on even making. So it could be a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
But if it ever became a good idea, then they're already protected. So literally, I mean, Apple they file for patents all the time on stuff that never actually gets made, because what if someday then it does get made, then they can own it. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it is.
This is another good question. This comes from one of our YouTube members, and they
Okay.
must follow your channel too. Other than the Les Ply,
This was Brett Johnson.
this was
by
Brett
the way.
Johnson, yeah. What other than the Les Ply, what crazy materials have you ever tried to build a guitar out of?
I generally don't do anything with crazy materials because it's just as hard to use the crazy stuff or harder than it is to use woods that guitar players want to buy. So I did a video a long time ago where I was like, avoid hippie woods. There's a handful of materials that guitar players and the guitar buying public are interested in using, and they are maple, mahogany, rosewood, ebony, ash, and alder, and maybe one or two others.
Yeah.
But there's half a dozen woods that the guitar buyers are willing to pony up money for. So for as much as I think that like zebra wood and bacote and I don't know, insert name of cuckoo wood here that looks awesome, generally speaking, people aren't interested in buying that stuff. So we did the Les Ply because there was a time when plywood was inexpensive. Now the Les Ply might be the most expensive piece of wood we have in the shop.
Yeah. The other thing about the Les Ply is everybody assumes because it's plywood that it's going to be cheap.
Yeah.
And when you look at the amount of time that Matt spent machining and gluing up plywood into these blanks that you could make a guitar out of, especially the direction that he laid it up, he didn't just stack it. It was a lot of time.
It would have been easier to make the guitar out of mahogany maple.
Yeah, ultimately. And just the amount of time that it took to fill voids and all this other stuff. And and in the end, you end up with a kind of heavy guitar that's made out of a wood that nobody thinks is gonna
that everyone thinks is weird.
Cheap.
Yeah.
So
I've seen guitars that you have too, made out of cement and crayons and Legos and shit like that, and that's cool and fun. And if you're into like a Hobby Lobby guitar, but for the most part, you can do that one time. And then it becomes like, well, then the allure has vanished, and now you don't want to be the 150th guy with the colored pencil guitar.
No.
The first one was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Every one after that gets less and less neat.
Yeah. But we are working on a Cheeto guitar.
Ooh, yeah.
In resin, all Cheetos and resin.
Well, and that's the other thing.
But it's black resin, so it's just going to look like a black.
Like
guitar.
any more, if you get a gallon of epoxy, all of a sudden you're a woodworker, and I'm like, no, that's not the way that shit works. But I love the old like Dan Armstrong guitars are some of my favorites, and they're made out of lucite. And people have taken those to, I'm going to make a lucite neck, and I'm like, okay, fine. The Travis Bean and the old Kramers with aluminum necks, love it. But like any more of the modern materials, nobody really seeks out modern materials as this is my go-to material to use. I'm not gonna say nobody because that's not accurate. But for example, we have this thing where we talk about Richlight, and we love the idea of Richlight. Hated the application of Richlight.
Yeah, I love playing it. I think it's really cool, but it's hard to make. It's hard to mill. It's hard to machine. Really hard on tools.
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
there's a company. What's that company in Europe? Is it Artist Tides or something? And they make some fully resin carbon fiber guitar with Richlight fretboards, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then there's. I play that carbon fiber acoustic, but there is something completely, and we'll get to GGBO here in a minute. Carbon fiber is my thing.
Yeah.
But it's still it's maybe in 15 years there's going to be a lot more of it, but it's a not right now thing. It's definitely a not right now. People are trying to explore different materials, though. They are trying.
Yeah, and there's people that are into that. It's not a mass thing though yet, but maybe someday.
At the end of the day, like carbon fiber, glass filled fiberglass and stuff like that. It's all aluminum. It's all old world techniques, basically. Well,
still, yeah.
It's 75 years old. easily.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was going to take off, I bet you it would have already.
Yeah.
That company I mentioned in Europe, that Artist Sides or however you say, I don't know how you say their name, but they hand lay it up like a boat.
Wow.
I mean, it's literally like in a mold and they like hand lay it up. It's really neat and it comes out cool and they got really neat finishes and stuff. But and they're $3,000 because it's old world methods using.
The cool part about some of that stuff is like the gel coat can be a different, like you can just mold in the color and it's ready to go.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's all the questions that came in from.
We don't get a lot of questions when we pose it to our Patreon members either. And I wish that they would maybe it's probably my fault because I probably need to like give those guys a little more time and interact with them more than I do. I love all of our Patreon supporters because without them, the channel would kind of flounder and
Agreed.
dry up and blow away. But I wish they would be. We don't have enough to have like a Discord server or something like that, but it would be really cool. I think that if we had more events and more activity on the Patreon page.
Ooh, more activities?
More activity, more guacamole.
We need more room for activities. Now we have more room for activities.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see all the activities that we do now.
I have a question for you, Dylan.
Okay.
A lot of people have been asking me, I can't put the question on the thing. They're like, hey, here's a question for Dylan and Leslie. When are you coming back to Colorado to go hang out with the guys at Texas Toast
and make some pickups?
I think that we're going to come back to Colorado in May of 2022.
Ooh, cool. Do you know what?
That doesn't really work for me.
Steve Morris's brother actually said that he would like to come out and do a pickup winding class with him. That really happened.
Who?
Yes. The guy from Dixie Dregs wanted to know when you were coming out here. He thought the pickup winding class would be really fun.
Well,
am I lying? Nope. See, he's shaking his head.
Says no.
So,
for
everybody in the world who's watching, all 69 of you.
69, dude.
Matt, 71. Matt and I talked the other day, and because Matt and Chris's classes are sold out for the rest of the year, and because I have just about.
We have a few more spots.
Okay. And my top secret project that I can't talk about is more involved than I anticipated. It's really cool, and I'm super stoked to tell you about it soon. But it's maybe. I hope. Anyway, so it's becoming a thing, and so I don't have time either, and Matt is pretty sold out. So we talked the other day.
And it's gonna be cold.
Yes.
So that's right. Yeah.
Not happening.
So we live in an RV, and so if it's any time after like late September or something, we can't go to Denver really. I mean, once it starts getting cold, we can't really go to Denver. So we'd have to push it off to the next spring. So that's what we're doing. So Matt and I talked the other day, and I think May is going to be the thing. And I think we'll probably just come out there for the whole month of May and do all kinds of cool Texas toasty things.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Did Chris roll his eyes? Like,
no.
What?
Yeah, probably.
No.
Chris rolls his eyes at me at least once an hour.
So
see?
That's what we're doing.
It's not like make like a fart joke or a dick joke and oh gee.
Well, I heard a month, and I could have swore he rolled his eyes. I was like,
no,
hey.
that sounds great. I think that would be really, really cool.
This is something though that we need to really figure out how to do it right and source a bunch of equipment and new gear. And so classes are one of those things where like I go, hey, everyone's got a toolbox full of everything they need. And then today we realized, oh crap, we don't have enough little cradles for necks for people to do fine-tuned frets with.
Yeah, we don't have.
So I went on
really good hammers.
Yeah, I ordered a bunch of.
Yeah. There's still some tools missing.
Yeah,
every class
makes sense.
More, but
you ought to see the guitars that the guys are making this week.
Just wait till tomorrow.
Phenomenal.
I'm excited.
Exciting.
They are.
Did Leslie just roll her eyes when she said exciting?
Yeah, she did. She did.
I asked for that, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Should we talk about GGBO really quick?
Let's do.
What
Because I have
you
no
heard?
idea what's going on with Great Guitar Build.
So you don't know what's going on with it.
I have
Okay.
no. They don't keep me in the loop, dude.
What thing?
Whatever you got in the mail.
Oh, I don't know where it is. So the Great Guitar Build-Off Invitational deadline got pushed to, I think, this Sunday. Which I'm still not gonna make.
Okay.
So here's this is the first time I'm telling the world the entire story, and since
All right.
it involves you, Matt,
Yeah.
I wanted to have you here, and so we can talk about future plans and stuff, because this is actually your fault in a very good way.
It is my
I was
fault
gonna
in
say
a very real way
he's gonna
too.
pass
In a
the
very
buck.
real way. So, my carbon fibre, what
Yeah.
were we calling it? The fiber bird. We're calling it the fiber bird. The design for this guitar kind of went a little insane on me, and
Yeah.
I wanted it to be cool. So, Matt made a video at the beginning of GGBO, and he said what he's looking for as a judge is obviously cool stuff that's very unique, and my Fiberbird is going to be that.
And I did like a Sammy Davis Jr. thing too. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. No one's old enough to know what that is.
But
Do
you
that thing with
also said that you were going to look for stuff that would be like manufacturable, that would actually be scalable as an actual idea, not some crazy one-off thing
Not
that
just ridiculous, yeah.
yeah, not just
So
totally ridiculous.
often the coolest stuff is one of a kind, and there's nothing wrong with one of a kind stuff, but you can't make another one that's one of a kind. So yeah.
Yeah, and I manufacture for a living too, and so my brain goes to that anyway. I'm like, can this be done at scale?
Mm-hmm.
So it completely made me rethink the entire thing, and also it kind of got where I didn't think I could do it by myself. So I decided pretty early to sort of pull out of the GGBO formally, because I wanted to call Matt and say, Matt, can you help me with this? But since Matt's a judge, that seems weird. I didn't want
of
to.
interest.
Yeah. So I was like, and we're friends as it is, like, not even including the judging part. Like, me and you are friends.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, I didn't want it to be weird, so I was like, okay, I think right now I'm just gonna pull out of the whole thing.
First of all, being friends with me is weird, no matter what. So
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. But I accept the challenge and the responsibility of that. And so I sent an email to the Great Guitar Build-Off, and I said, I do not want to compete formally in the Great Guitar Build-Off. However, I still want to, when this first guitar is done, I want to auction it off, and I want to give 50% off, 50% to my charity and 50% to their charity. I want to follow through and do the things I said I was going to do, because I'm
That's
not that
terrific.
guy.
Yeah.
You know, and so they actually sent me an email this week, and they said, we are going to keep your name on everything, and when you get ready to actually auction it, we will help you promote it on Instagram and on our Instagram stuff and everything.
Cool.
Even at a later date, even if it's not on time. So knowing that I've like forfeited my place in the thing. But what I've not been public about is the fact that I called Matt, and then Matt is like, no, that won't really work. This is what you should do. Do you want me to help you with it? And I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of need your help with it. And then he's like, well, it doesn't have enough necks.
Uh-huh.
So, so basically we switched the design up a little bit. And do we want to talk about what it's going to be, or does that still need to be a surprise?
It's up to you.
That needs to be a surprise, but you can show what you have so far right there. If you want to show because you have a neck there. I haven't even seen it.
Yeah, so I
reveal.
have this neck here, and I have this neck here.
And what's interesting about both of those necks is one is really big and one is not as big.
Yeah, here you hold this one, Chris. Oh, actually, wait, you hold that one. I'll hold and you hold the headstock end, and I'll hold this end.
Yeah.
Well, and we have these two necks.
What happened?
This one got cut off.
They shrink.
Yeah.
One got put in the dryer.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
basically, I guess I will tell you what's happening. Basically, the Fiberbird is going to be a Fiberbird / Thunderbird.
Yep.
You're going to be able to switch it from, what is it, a 32-inch scale base?
34-inch scale bass to a 24 3/4 scale guitar.
Yep.
So
And-
we have a body section that is you'll notice that this neck here kind of gets bulby at the end. That's so it can fit in the same neck pocket as this neck. So the whole idea is that you can, you want a bass, okay, you want a guitar, okay, and you can change out the neck, and I think you'd have to swap out I can't remember what we're doing with the top. Swap out the top, and you go from, because the tops and backs are interchange are also changeable. You can go from ka-chunk, new top for bass, which has pickup routes and things like that, and put the bass neck in, and then now I'm ready to go to guitar. Ka-chunk, guitar neck, and
Yep.
the top is changeable. Yeah.
And the top will be routed. One top will be routed for like a hardtail bridge, and the other top will be routed for and have a bass bridge.
You know what'd be cool? P90s.
Obviously- Oh, we should put a P90 in.
You'd be
everything.
interested to hear how it sounds with the P90.
I'd like to see a modern version of that. Yeah.
Well, see, and what I'm hoping, so the scalability portion of this is, I think I'm going to talk to a water jet guy,
Perfect.
and I'm going to see because carbon fiber is a pain in the butt to cut.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm going to talk to a water jet guy. My brother is a CNC, he's a CAD guy. My brother's a CAD guy. So I'm going to see if I can get him to draw me a program for the tops and the backs. And then you might be able to make it into an Explorer if you want. Or maybe
the middle section will be the same no matter what the guitar outline looks like.
Exactly. Yep. And that's going to be the plan. And it's taking longer because it's more complicated. But also way
My
cooler.
contribution was make it more complicated.
It was.
It's a great idea.
Yes. Because anytime you call Matt and you say, I have an idea, he's like,
You know what I'd do?
It needs more
That sounds
necks.
good, but this is the way I'd go. Mm-hmm.
Needs one neck going this way and one going this way, so you can spin it like a propeller.
Yeah.
like
Comes with a head.
what's that guy's name? Michael Badio.
Yeah, he had a bunch of multiple necks. I remember a video on MTV back in like 1983, and it was like one of those basement tape things. Remember when they had that? And it was these guys, and they had double neck guitars, but necks were opposite each other, and they would kind of lean back and spin them, and it was really cool. Maybe
what's
his
his
son
name?
means the youngster.
Michelangelo Badio or something, and he
Michelangelo.
plays a crossways like this, and he does this weird. Yeah,
And his hair is perfect.
Every day.
I won't have that hair, not for a while. Yeah.
Takes
So
it
anyway.
off the dresser and puts it on every day.
He may or may not. We don't know.
That is the official update.
Yeah.
That is the official update to the GGBO situation.
So I feel good about this because I think that this is still going to be a neat instrument that will raise a lot of awareness for your charity, which I think is a super cool one. And I think that's kind of the whole point of the Great Guitar Build-Off is to make neat guitars, but also to, benefit some other people any way that we can, whether it's one guy or a great big charity that helps people, lots and lots and lots of people.
Somebody somebody in my comments the other day was like, so what you're saying is you realized you could make money off of it, so you pulled out so you could make money. And I was like, I didn't respond to that, so I'm responding to that now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you're looking at it wrong. Like, a bunch of YouTubers could see this, and admittedly, I'd thought about it in the past, could see this as a like clickbait grab for their channels, which is not what I am about. So I'm like, no, I'll even forfeit all of that because I'm not going to be in all of the main stuff. I want to do something truly cool. Like, I want to do something truly cool.
Listen, you stand to make tens of dollars with this idea.
I think so. And
There are a lot
probably
more horses'
dozen
asses than there are horses.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to get like at least 6 more subscribers because of it. So
Up to and including.
yes. So, you know,
So let me
that's
get this
okay.
straight. Let me get
Yep.
let me get this straight.
Go
You originally decided you were going to do this contest for free,
Yeah.
and now you're not going to do it for free?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just like leading things off with let me get this straight.
Let me get this
So let
straight.
me get this straight.
You know what I'd like to see you do?
Yeah. I got some issues here.
There's so many haters on like the Great Guitar Build Off follower. Things like they like one guy and they hate everybody else. And yeah, our guitar was unplayable. Right,
Yeah.
a wall hanger,
Yeah.
piece of garbage.
Yeah.
No one's ever gonna play it, and I'm like, have a good time.
The whole GGBO thing seems like it went off the rail because there's so many people. And you talked about, clickbait and subscriber. Isn't that what every single person's trying to do is start their own YouTube channel? And,
Yeah.
good for them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not just for people that have had YouTube channels. It's for people that want to have a YouTube channel. So if you can make a bunch of videos and people like them, great. Yeah.
I'm excited about. I've been watching some of the videos. The dude CS Guitars from the place with kilts, Scotland, made the Kilt Explorer or V or whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And like wore a kilt in his video. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
not.
so-
We have purposely been not watching any of the videos because we don't want to get an idea of, ooh, we like this one, but we want to wait until we get told what we have to judge on. Yeah,
That's probably a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
That's probably a good
You
idea.
can like one of these 10 guitars.
yeah, that's basically what it
Pick.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
pick the ones
That's
you
what
like.
we're
Yeah.
waiting for. Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the deal. The carbon fiber and the Thunderbird is gonna be the combo.
It's a
bird.
cool idea, and if you guys are interested in that, this is just the prototype. This is just the wooden version that is really the proof of concept, right, Chris?
Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna do this and make it be as neat as we can because I love the idea.
Yeah, I think so. Somebody just said, I want to build a guitar that sounds like cowbells. And I was actually thinking, we haven't had to use it but once tonight, by the way. But I was actually thinking of getting some kind of cowbell for super chats. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Need more cowbell.
Yeah.
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 New meaning.
Yeah. I think we should talk now about why my drink is empty. I think we should talk now about why I think Fender has completely screwed up.
Okay.
And
Do we have time for
completely
one more beer?
Sure.
Okay.
Mrs.
I
Stone's
just
gonna
did
get
this
because she's lovely.
video series on my channel where we did, I did a breakdown and it was like, this is the features of every Telecaster. And I had to do 2 videos for the Telecaster and 2 videos for the Stratocaster. So American ones, Mexican ones.
Okay.
American ones, Mexican ones.
Okay.
Okay? Here's the thing. I believe I just counted this up before we went live. I think there are 36 different Telecasters and 39 different Stratocasters.
Between
Okay.
American and Mexican made,
Correct. That's
Models?
not including
not
Yes.
including colors, just models.
not including artist models
Okay.
and not including Squires.
So production. Okay.
Yes.
That sounds
So-
right to me. Yeah.
Oh, we got a super chat.
That doesn't sound like a cowbell.
Ring a ding ding.
Doug.
Great to see you guys together.
Hey,
Looking
Doug.
forward to seeing the guitar and, of course, tomorrow's reveal.
Doug, we've got some
Yeah.
super cool stuff to show you for tomorrow's reveal.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So,
And
one
we're
of the
going to be
questions I
plugged
want
in,
to
so
thank you.
everybody's going to be able to see it.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug, for the super chat. So, how many models do you make?
We make an unlimited number of models. You really get right down
No,
to it.
I mean like Texas Toast. You got like the whore or whatever she's called, and the
So you mean so we have the Challenger, we have the Daily Driver, we have the Prostitute,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Casanova.
the Super Casanova.
Well, there's 3 models of Casanova.
But I'm actually whittling that down to
Yeah.
the Super
Yeah.
Casanova. We have the Kaiser Blade. And I think that's there's a bunch of what I'm calling the adventurers on the wall right now, but we're not going to do those anymore. Yeah, and there's the Premier Reserve single cut, which I think we're going to discontinue that too.
And you're working on your double cut right now.
Yes, which the working title for that is the Honey Badger.
So you're under 10 models.
Oh, easily, yeah.
So I also manufacture things, and I have 17 different models of pickups, but that
Okay.
covers everything. That's
Okay.
bass, that's 6-string guitars, that's P90s, that's Strat stuff, Tele stuff. In total, I have 17 different models of pickups.
Yeah.
I really feel like Fender has just like completely diluted what they even do. And here's why I bring it up. Because if you go through all of those models, there is not one standard version of each of those guitars.
There's not an American Standard Tele or Strat?
No.
Okay.
They all have various variations. Various variations.
So clever.
Yes. Maybe I do need another drink. But there isn't what can be called the American Standard Strat. And people will get in the comments and say, well, this is meant to be that.
Listen, you hear him doing that right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not, because the fretboard radius isn't right, or the material isn't right, or the bridge is not right, or, even the American original that's $2,000, it's supposed to be the vintage version of the guitar,
Yeah.
has a 9.5-inch radius fretboard. It should be 7.25 if it's vintage spec. Like everything, there's all these variations, and it's just completely diluted, and nothing actually makes any sense. To the point that I have to make 4 different videos that are 20 minutes long a piece to explain this to people.
Yeah. I think so. The number of models that you have ought to be limited. I also think that if I was running Gibson, I would kill it. If I was running Fender, I would kill it, because I'd hack and slash everything down to just the what people really, really, really wanted. Oh, and I would double the price. So
Yeah.
like what the Gibsons that people really want are Les Paul standards, 59 specs. That's all I would make if I were an SG. But the nice ones, the standards, you know what I mean? I'd make those, and everything else would be an Epiphone, and everything that was Gibson would be 10 grand, and owning a Gibson would mean something.
Ooh.
Used to mean something to own an American-made Gibson.
But
Or
American
an
guitars
American-made Fender. It used to mean something.
Gibsons are so overpriced
Hogwash.
already.
Hogwash.
Why are Gibsons not overpriced, Matt?
If you've ever built a Les Paul, you know that Gibsons are not overpriced. What people mistake for overpriced is issues lapses in quality control, and then they go, this guitar for this money should be perfect in every way. Maybe in order for that guitar to be perfect in every, I would submit to you, anything from the Gibson Custom Shop is probably perfect in every way, and it's $8, $9, $10,000 guitar. If I ran Gibson, everything would be that. And nobody likes that, but that would be what I would do.
The McPherson acoustic that I have,
Yeah.
The wood versions of those, every guitar that leaves is 100% perfect. They strive for perfection.
Yeah.
But they start at $8,600.
Yeah.
But they are perfect.
Paul Reed Smith basically changed the industry when he came out, and every Fender and Gibson were really kind of just putting out stuff. And Paul Reed Smith came out with one model and kicked everyone's ass because they were absolutely perfect in every way, and everybody loved them. And you couldn't get them everywhere. Owning a Paul Reed Smith in 1985 meant something. You couldn't go to Guitar Center in Muleshoe, Texas, and find one. There's not a Guitar Center in Muleshoe, but when I was in Amarillo in 1989, I had to drive 500 miles to get a Paul Reed Smith.
What's really funny about that statement that you just made is the psychology of a guitar player. So a Gibson, so what you have is a Paul Reed Smith player who is constantly on Facebook trying to justify to everyone else why he spent so much money. You have a Gibson player saying that a Paul Reed Smith is too sterile. Yeah. And then you have a Fender player saying that a Gibson is too overpriced.
Yeah.
It's like...
How much was the Stratocaster in 1954, Chris?
I think they were $247.
So what does that translate to in actual 2021 dollars?
How much money was it?
247, I think. 49, 250 bucks.
Let's say $250 for a Strat in 1954.
I don't know. It's like $2,000 now.
And what the Gibson was it like an extra? It was like $30 or $40, or $10 or $20?
Well, maybe even a little more than that.
Okay,
but not much. Yeah.
So everyone's like, Fenders were supposed to be cheap. Bullshit. They were supposed to be good, and they were. They were not an inexpensive guitar.
One of my favorite quotes from a Fender guy, Don Randall, who was the head of Fender sales from the beginning to when they sold. He's the guy that orchestrated the sale of Fender to CBS for way too much money. Said the job of the retailer is to find out how much money you can sell an item for, not the other way around. It's not their job to see how cheap they can sell it.
Yeah.
And I always kind of took that to heart. You're trying to make a living on this, and there's nothing wrong with trying to make a living. And so Fender pushed the limits of what they could sell their products for.
Yeah.
So 1954 Stratocaster today, $2,471.
By the way, that did not include a case for $247.
Correct.
Right?
The case was another $30 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's about the same. So what you're paying today for an American Fender is about in working dollars is about what you paid for it back then.
The most expensive American Strat right now is not $2,400. It's cheaper than that.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So guitars have actually gotten cheaper,
and better.
And I get that people want a good deal.
No way, man.
I get that people want a deal. Everybody wants a deal, right? But owning a passel of cheap guitars is not the same as owning one really, really cool thing. So in the 50s, owning a real live Fender meant something. In 1959, owning the real live Gibson 59 Les Paul Standard meant something. Yep. In 1985, owning a Paul Reed Smith Standard meant something. And one day, so but everything has been distilled down. I was talking to a friend of mine who's here in the shop this week, and he's like, the race to the bottom is a false economy, and he's 100% right. The everybody's going to make cheap shit, and it doesn't mean it's junk. It just means it's not expensive. But the pride in ownership does not come from, hey, look what awesome deal I got. It's look at this neat thing that I have. Not everybody can have this. Dream guitar should be something that anybody can just pluck off of a tree and get, you know.
Chris brought it up the other night when you were talking about that whole dream guitar thing. And I mean, if a guy is an Ibanez fan and he has 5 RG 550s, why doesn't he sell it and buy the gem that he wants?
Sure.
Or whatever. You know, like 5 low price guitars or one really, really good one.
Is a Ferrari always going to be cool? No. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. So is a super cool sports car always going to be neat?
Super cool.
And if everybody could have one because they were 30 grand, would they still be neat? No.
Yeah.
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 You know.
Yeah. Availability and attainability is part of the mystique and the value for sure.
Dan Thompson chimed in on this, and I have one thing to say to Dan Thompson. It's one thing to dream about having a guitar. That's not a dream guitar. That's a dream you had about a guitar. You can have that one be cheap, but a dream guitar is a whole nother thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And I love Dan. I hope that Dan comes back to the shop sometime soon.
So
Dan walks the walk. Dan is one of my favorite people.
Agreed.
So Fender has 32 different models of Telecaster and Stratocaster, which are all basically the same guitar with minor variations to that original design.
Do you think that could maybe be for collectors who go, "Oh, I got the red one. They only made it for 1 year.
So
I got the whatever."
There's a little bit of that, but I don't think he's counting those guitars necessarily. I think these are inline production kind of things, not special.
Correct.
runs.
Okay.
And on top of that, they have the mod shop where you can go in there and do all the drop down boxes and get what you want anyway.
That's what they. That's really what they should push. The funny thing about all of this is we can sit back and go, man, Fender's really dropped the ball, but Fender had their best year ever last year, and partially that's because of the COVID thing and that. But I agree, because that just seems like way too many guitars. How many different configurations of Pele can you have?
Yeah,
the answer is 32.
Fender's clearly doing something right, because you know how it goes when you're at the NAMM show in Anaheim. You need a gun to get into the Fender booth on the first day.
But
you know what's funny about that, Chris, is you're gonna buy one of those 39 Fender Telecasters, and you're still gonna go in a Facebook group and make a post and say, which color pickguard should I put on it?
How can I mod this guitar? Well, I want to turn it back into the other spec.
What about the Johnny Switchblade?
Johnny Switchblade
signature model.
Yep.
Can you see what's rad about this? One, it says Johnny Switchblade right here.
Two, it's got one pickup.
One pickup wired right to the jack. No control.
Why did you put a control plate in it?
Because it's the most absurd thing we could do.
Because it was a standard Telecaster route, and
Plus, I'm thinking anyone named Johnny Switchblade don't need no volume control.
Doesn't have time for that.
He's all the way up, baby.
Yeah, all the time. Yep.
That's right.
It's too loud. You're too old.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm
Do we have any questions in the thing that you been
anybody's watching?
keeping any?
I've been watching you.
We are going to go to get steaks with everybody in the Build a Classic Fender class. I'm going to push.
Awesome.
Guys, if you are interested in coming, Dylan, can I do a commercial?
Do it.
Okay. We have got 3 spots for the December Build a Classic Fender class. And by the way, each one of those spots comes with an invitation to the Texas Toast Christmas party. All the links. And that's the Christmas party is at Odyssey Beer Works, where you can sample the Texas Toast beer. Which I was talking to Chris last night. I think it's going to be a Bach. How do you feel about that?
Sounds good to
that
me.
marshmallow peanut butter thing was really good. I'm like, can we make it a little less marshmallow peanut buttery, but more of this color and taste like beer? He's like, yeah. So anyway, we've got 3 spots in the December Build a Classic Fender. You get to make, so for example, in the class that we've got going right now, we've got Telly Deluxe, we've got a hardtail Strat, we've got a thin line Telly, we've got a bass, and we've got a Jazz Master, and they're all super, super cool. You guys are going to see them tomorrow for the big reveal. Reveal. We also have a handful of spots left for the Build a Classic Set Neck. That was a class that was so popular. We sold out in October, but we have some spots left in September. So that is going to be really, really fun. If you guys are interested in any of this, if you want to build a guitar, you want to come and hang out with the guys at Texas Toast, mostly Chris, because I'm not going to be here. No, I'm going to be here. If you want to drink beer with us and eat steak with us, we're going to do that tonight. It's a thing that we do every Thursday. So this class is going to be super, super fun. Come out. If Doug Santaniello will tell you, he's been here. He's coming back in November. He's not a punk who is afraid of the cold.
We're starting to get some 3-timers.
Yes.
Wow.
And pretty soon there'll be a 4-timer.
From Alaska.
Sweet.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And you'll even be able to pick your own pickguard color.
You can have a mistake Johnny Switchblade if you want.
Pickguard color.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Who's this? Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Johnny Switchblade.
Yeah. As we get, every class changes and we get better at these things, you know?
You ought to see, the stuff these guys are doing is unbelievable. And we're only 4 days in. Everything looks super, super cool. Oh, and everybody has all 10 fingers.
Yeah.
Everybody, no one has any extra holes than they showed up with.
Nope.
This class they get better and better and better, and these guys are no exception. They're really kicking butt.
Awesome. Well, thanks you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
This was really super fun, and we'll have to do it again. And I actually am guinea pigging you because this is the first time I've ever had a guest on the show.
Oh, cool.
So using this. So now we're going to have more guests because this seems to be pretty sweet.
Get Brad Ango.
I will.
Okay,
I will.
good.
Bye, Carrie
All right.
Ann.
We'll see y'all.
Take care, you guys. We're going to go eat steak.
Well, that was super fun.
It was.
That was super fun.
That was
I
super
really like
fun,
this whole.
boys.
Oh, are they still there? Oh, we can mute them.
Oh, I wonder. I didn't know they could. Oh, we
Yeah.
could have snuck in on their conversation.
Look, we can unmute. Let's see if that'll happen.
Oh, look at you. There. Now we just removed them. No, that was fun. That was really
funny.
fun. So I don't know. Has there been much? They've been probably just listening more than.
Yeah, there have been a few questions if we want to.
Yeah. Let's go in and just take some of those questions now that
we have time.
now that Matt's not talking the whole time.
James Ranger wants to know, hi Leslie, if Dylan has a moment, can he talk about why Alnico 8 pickups are not more widely used?
Yeah. So there's a balance between when you use an Alnico 3, I'll give you both extremes, okay? So 8 is kind of an extreme. So to me, the extremes are 3 and 8. 3, there's so much less attack to the note that it's a little crunchy and it doesn't compress the same. It doesn't, and I need to do a video on this and talk about waveform shapes and stuff. We were just talking about this the other day. How, not me and you, but me and somebody else. We're talking about how when you strike the note on the guitar, it's like a transverse wave, like the breakdancing thing in the 80s. And you can hear and feel that when you play it. And the stronger the magnet is, the more hard-edged that attack is. And the less kind of expressive the note is, if that makes sense. But also depending on how it's wound and stuff, but that would be the easiest way for me to say that. And so 8s kind of have a harder edge attack, and they they take some of the dynamics out. They're louder and they're higher output, you know, but not quite as dynamic, in my opinion. So that's why I don't use them very often. We do use them in a couple of pickups, but not very often.
Cecil Music wants to know, what do y'all think of Tom Anderson's wedge neck joint? I think it's a really cool design.
I was just looking at that today because I think it's very interesting. I've played it. It feels funny because you can feel it where it comes out of the neck pocket. The only thing with it is it's not adjustable at all. And I know that a lot of people would say, well, you're not supposed to be able to move it. It's supposed to be super stone tight, but that's not really true either. And so to be able for it to have a little bit of, to be able to move a little is probably better. And I don't think that the wedge allows it to do that very much. But I guess expansion and contraction, it just comes up and down instead of back and forth. So I don't know. Maybe it's a wash. I'm not really sure. But I do think it's really cool. It is very, very cool. And I think that it's only 2 bolts, right? Because it's like 2 in the middle. Because it's a wedge with like 1, 2 instead of 4. So I think, I can't remember. It's been a while since I saw one. But I remember playing one of those and I was like, wow, this is really neat. I don't remember where we were. Some town somewhere, I'm sure.
Bruce Holt wants to know, we have a strap body painted in Rust-Oleum copper penny metallic paint.
Sweet.
It has a texture. Due to lack of proper facilities, we use brushes. What would you suggest for a top coat to get a smooth finish?
Oh, man. What happens when you sand it? Can you... So even with spray bombs, you can... If it's bumpy, it's possible that there's 2 things that happen. I don't know what the wood is, but if you sprayed it, I don't know if it was already painted, I don't know any of that. But if it's rough, chances are you put too much material on at once. And so not putting on as much material at a time. So maybe wet sand it a little bit smoother and put a couple more thin coats on it and get yourself a flatter surface to start with. And then
Doesn't the paint itself have a texture though?
well, that's what I don't.
Remember?
If it's copper penny, yeah, we did have some of
Yeah.
that for something
There's
else.
some that is like just a color and there's some that has a texture, so it'd be interesting to know if
Yeah.
you can combat that if it's supposed to have a texture.
That's true, because if the paint has a texture, then you
Right.
you might never get around that
Yeah,
without
that would-
doing
lot
damage
of
to the
work.
look of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Robot Shlomo.
Nice.
Dylan Talks Tone. What are your opinions on the Epiphone Coronet reissue? I have one and I think it's a great value for the money.
I can't remember what that is, so I am actually. Give me 1 second, and I'm just gonna Google it.
Google
Oh, you know what? I do know what it is. I saw actually an original one of these. So we're in this little town in Tennessee, and I went in this little tiny guitar store the other day, and they had one of these, but it wasn't in a reissue. It was an old one, and it was like $600 or something. They're neat. They're an interesting. They're kind of funny looking, right? They're a neat, unique thing. This one had 2 pickups in it. Yeah. I guess that's technically called the Crestwood or something. The Coronet has 1 pickup. Dude, single pickup guitars, the jam for me, man. I'm all about it. I love them.
So James Granger came back and said, I have Alnico 8, really focused and compressed.
Yeah, so when you say compressed, what's interesting about that, so focused is right? Like, so as soon as you hit the note, it happens. Like, it just happens right now. Like, it's super tight. You don't get that. I was hanging out with a guy the other day, and he was saying that when you pluck a string, there is a bounce to it. Like, it has a bounce because when you hit it, it does that transverse wave down the string, and you can kind of hear that and feel that. Where A bigger magnet like that takes that away a little bit, and it's just a poke. It's just like boom voltage, like, you know, right away. That's exactly what it is. And then as far as the compression part, that's because you're hitting your amp with more voltage. So I don't know what kind of amp you play, but let's say you're playing that thing into a Princeton or some kind of something like, you know, 20 watt, make 6V6 amp, for example. It's going to compress faster because you're going to hit the edge of that amp faster because you're creating a sudden voltage that happens right now, and it is going to compress more immediately. Yep, that's exactly, you're head on, dead on the details there.
And then one more related to that. Benjamin Fitness says, I guess a question. Alnico 8 more harsh than ceramic?
We should do a video on that.
Alrighty.
I have some Alnico 8s and I have some ceramic bars. Maybe we should do a thing where we build a humbucker, and I've got that Strat, you know, and we can swap the magnet. Like, I won't wax pot it, and then we can swap the magnet out and you can hear it back to back.
Cool.
That'd be cool. Ceramics are warmer than you think. People are like, ceramic must be harsh. I swear. This is another conversation I had the other day, is that guitar players hear what they see. So I really feel like because you drop a ceramic bowl and it crashes, that's what they think that pickup is going to sound like. And it's not. Ceramic's really warm, actually, and can be very, very smooth. It's not a hard edge. But Alnico can too. It just depends on... So yeah, we'll do a thing where we swap a magnet, and maybe we'll make a video about that. That's cool.
Doug Santinello says, so I still have that weird wiring with the cap not grounded. It's from post on tone pot to post on volume pot.
Sounds to me like it is a 50s wiring setup, because that's typically what that is. It might be like from the second one on one to the third one on the other or something. Without looking at it, I do not memorize wiring diagrams. That is, I can't do that. So, but sounds like a 50s wiring setup to me. Yeah.
And I think we need to block somebody.
Oh yeah? I like blocking people. I can do that right here.
I could too, but actually
Okay.
I don't actually know which one I can do.
Okay. Let's see. What else? Keep going on the questions and I'll handle that.
That's it. That's what's
Okay.
taking up the feed now.
Oh, because it's... let's see...
Sorry, I'll give you time to ask more questions if you have them.
You can't do it there? Because for some reason
It just says like report or
Oh, is it because...
timeout. I could put them in timeout.
Yeah, do that. No. Oh, I know why. Here, hang on, I'll fix it. Excellent. And then when he comes back, we'll just ban him. Okay.
So do you have more options than me then?
I do, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
What would you do?
I would do hide user on this channel.
Oh, see, I had that option. I just didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite options on YouTube, because when somebody has an attitude, or not an attitude, but when they're being vulgar or, you know, outside of how we like to be in our community, then I will hide user from channel, which is really funny because they will be able to comment, but no one will be able to hear them. It's just like yelling into a void.
Scream into the
Which
void.
is great. It's my favorite button sometimes.
Benjamin Fitness wants to know, is silk coated wire usable for pickups? I keep seeing spools of 42 AWG Soviet era wire that's coated with silk. Could that be visible for pickups?
It would be too big. It would get too fat. And also, your pickup would be like this big. It would be too big. And it's not an effective insulation. So what a lot of people don't realize is, visual aid, this wire is not bare. It has insulation on it. This is polynylon, there is plain enamel, there is a bunch of different insulation types, but this has insulation on it. And so if you were to have a break in this insulation and a break in another insulation with two sitting next to it, it would actually short out at that point. So I would be very skeptical of using silk covered wire in a pickup because you probably would have shorting issues, or could have shorting issues. Not to mention, it's not going to lay together this tight, which means that your pickup is going to be massive. And inductance will be a completely different realm. That's a cool question, though. Nobody has ever asked that, so you got the first time on that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. We're caught up.
Cool, man.
I think most people were just listening to the conversation that you were having. That was fun, having a guest.
It was really fun.
It makes the time go by really fast.
It does.
And it was cool to have some other opinions.
No, I enjoyed getting his take on, both of their takes on some of that stuff, because it's funny because I agree with most of it. Like, yeah. The alternative material
and if you
thing.
didn't, he would change your mind.
Me and him probably, Matt and I will probably always see the alternative material thing differently. Because I
But
will.
he has a wood shop.
But he has a wood
Yeah.
shop. And that's what he does.
Yeah.
And I will always be pushing for something different. I will always be pushing for innovation. Because he is right. Guitars have not innovated.
They said we couldn't have got a word in anyway. The Texas Toast guys talk so fast.
They do. Yeah.
That's funny.
But they're super smart, and that's why I wanted to have them on. We talked the other night, and we're going to probably do that on a semi-regular basis. Because we do have a bunch of crossover viewers and stuff, like people, you know.
And not just here, like going on their channel.
Yeah, us going on their channel and vice versa. Because he's actually the person that gave me the idea to use this software so that we could do this. When he did his thing with Brad Angove, I was like, oh, what software is he using? And I went and I looked it up and I bought it. It just so happens that, well, he doesn't like computer stuff that much, so he hasn't taken the time to figure out all the little things like we are doing. But he said, well, if you're going to do it, then I'll get it back going again and learn it, because it would be awesome to have guests and have, do all that stuff. So.
For sure.
Plus, I love showing people super chats. I love showing the Patreon folks. I love, because I really do appreciate the support. So I like to, it's like my little way of supporting them in return. And then going through and trying to answer as many of these questions as possible. I think it's awesome. So, yeah, man, this has been really fun.
I love this. So Benjamin Fitness says, I think hemp materials have huge potential. You stand inside a room made with hempcrete, and the acoustic properties will blow your mind. And then somebody said, music always sounds better on weed.
I just noticed that somebody is there that I want to show something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I forgot to grab it before the stream started. So I'm doing my thing I tell people never to do and leaving the...
He left the shot, y'all.
I left the shot. I don't normally do that, but...
All right, well, hopefully they're still there. People think you're wrapping it up because
No.
you always wrap it up too long.
Hang on. Stay here. Wayne,
Yeah, Wayne Hussey.
yeah. Doug.
Is that his name?
Yeah. So here is Jazzmaster Pickup 1. I finally got all this sorted out today. The lipstick pickup was the one that was. So here's Jazzmaster 1, and this is going to be like one of the coolest combos in a guitar. So Jazzmaster 1, Jazzmaster 2, and then Dan Electro lipstick in the middle. So
Ooh.
crazy cool. I just got to throw them through some wax, engrave my name on them in the morning, and then they will be gone in the mail. We're going to do that
It looks good.
tomorrow. Yeah, super cool. This was one of those combos that took way too long because of many reasons, but it's finally together and it's ready to go, and
it'll be worth it.
Thanks
for your patience.
It's really cool. I think it's
No
focus. Anyway, I think it's awesome. It's gonna be a really cool setup. So I set them over there because I was like, oh, I have to show those live tonight. So yeah, man. Oh, with Jaguar controls. Oh, very cool. So you're gonna have some phase flipping and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be really awesome. I actually wired them all three sort of like a Strat. So the middle one is reverse wound, so it'll be hum canceling, and then when you do your phase flip stuff, then it'll be awesome. Yeah, that'll be really cool. So awesome. Thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out tonight. I appreciate y'all, and don't forget that we have a video tomorrow about putting acoustic strings on an electric guitar and what that does. I think it will surprise you, actually. So stay tuned for that. Thanks so much, and I guess we'll see you then.